As we all know, testing is a huge part of SpaceX's strategy. It enables them to learn and grow as a company. Thanks to this continuous testing, they have progressed quickly in recent times. No wonder they continue to impress the world with their wide array of inventions. Today, we will be talking about the SpaceX Starship 120-meter rocket stack testing. That is not all, as we will also be discussing the 33-engine static fire. You must be wondering, why is SpaceX still facing problems with 33 engines static fire? And most importantly, why is the 33 engine static fire so important? Well, stick around till the end as we answer these questions and more as we delve into the intricacies surrounding SpaceX and its testings. Without further ado, let's begin. As you all know, SpaceX has dedicated its past few years to developing the Starship and making it launch-ready. This was a priority, and of course, as a result, the progress on the other tasks such as testing for the launch, or the launch system itself, was put on a halt. But this changes now, as SpaceX has just started its first round of testing after months of inactivity. The purpose of this was to test a fully stacked launch system before the actual orbital launch, so that any hiccups or mistakes can be avoided, and the whole process is as streamlined as it can be. Let us now discuss what the purpose of these tests were, and how they were carried out. These tests, which started in late October, were initially carried out on the Booster 7, or the Ship 24 full stack, whatever you want to call it. In a series of partial cryo testing, SpaceX undertook a lot of experiments as they sought to find the most feasible and efficient way the ships and launch system could function. The first test involved replacing the normal flammable propellant which every SpaceX rocket uses, and using a cold cryogenic fluid that was capable of producing the same amount of power on the Starship full stack. The effects of this cold fluid can be seen in various footage of the Booster 7, showcasing a clear frost line indicating the presence of the fluid. The tests do not end here, as I'm sure by now you all know what we are testing for through these tests. It's basically just checking whether the Super Heavy Booster 7 is capable of carrying the workload of the Starship. Another test they did was to mix a fixed amount of liquid oxygen and methane, and then start a countdown, simulating the real countdown of when the real takeoff takes place, and stopping just before the propellant is ignited. The purpose of this was to see whether the fuel is stable before it is ignited and doesn't cause any pre-launch difficulties. Now, let us talk about the cryo-proof testing. So what is this type of testing? Well, a spacecraft's ability to resist extremely low temperatures and in-flight atmospheric pressure is determined by the cryo-proof test, also known as the cryogenic pressure test. As you can imagine, the testing of different types of fuels, like the ones I have mentioned in this video, is an example of cryo-proof testing. This first full-stack cryoproof's primary goal was to test the functionality of all the technologies needed to power Starship atop Super Heavy. That's not all. Did you know that the Starship is a whopping 120 meters tall? This makes it the tallest rocket in the world. It also has the world's biggest upper stage in a rocket. Such tests are extremely important, as scientists are striving to find the perfect fuel that will be able to propel such a big and heavy machine into outer space, both effectively and efficiently. Let us now talk about the numbers surrounding this issue. Around 1,200 tons of propellant must be pushed up Starbase's integration tower, about 85 meters, to fully fuel a Starship for an orbital launch. Now that is a lot of propellants, as it equals the weight of more than 2 complete Falcon 9 rockets. It's insane when you think about it. If SpaceX manages to pull this off, which it seems they're close, it will be one of the most remarkable achievements in space history. Now, let us talk about the 33 engine static fires that SpaceX has been facing. On November 29th, at its South Texas site, SpaceX sparked several Raptor engines on Booster 7 as part of a static fire test. Well, the purpose of such a test is that scientists and engineers can gain a fair feel of an engine's performance before a launch. They do that by a process in which the engines spin up to ignition, but the rocket remains on the launch pad. That's right, unfortunately, we're not going anywhere today. SpaceX's tests showed that a healthy amount of energy was released. According to reports, SpaceX only fired up to 11 of its 33 Raptor engines, as there was a risk of some damage due to the extreme levels of heat and fire produced. But with such positive results, soon they would be able to fire up all 33 engines, which not only generate the energy required to carry such a huge spaceship, which in this case is the Starship, but can also propel it over long distances, making journeys to faraway planets such as Mars possible. Experts conclude that SpaceX is just a few static fire tests away from igniting all 33 engines successfully. I would just like to say that tests are important before we do anything worthwhile. It not only gives us an idea of what we can expect, but we also get to know our flaws and thus are able to correct them before we actually end up costing ourselves. This is especially really important in rocket launches, as millions and billions of dollars are being spent to set up the launch. Now, who would want to risk losing such huge amounts of money? Companies like SpaceX need to be cautious every step of the way so that they could manage to do this all in the most effective way possible. We, as humans, can also learn from this concept. If we apply the same principle in our daily lives, then we will also minimize the number of speed bumps we face. This is not only beneficial for us, but it will also propel us towards success. Kind of like when a successful rocket launch propels toward its destination without any issue whatsoever. I hope that helps you understand the ideology before testing for rocket flights beforehand. I think I've cleared everything in regard to the topic at hand. If you still have any questions, do let us know in the comments below. We value the feedback of our esteemed subscribers, so do not hesitate to do so. I hope you liked and enjoyed this video. If you did, please let us know by clicking the like button. And I will see you guys in the next one.